I can't believe they actually did it. They added puppeteers to this game, and it works so well too. It's incredible. Welcome back to Shinobi Striker. It's the end of Season 7 of DLC, and the last character is Sasori. So far, the season has had nothing but S-tier characters, and I'm happy to say this guy is no different. His jutsu are incredible. His ultimate may be a bit underwhelming, but he brings a weapon that can turn your custom range type character into a puppeteer, which is something fans have wanted for a really long time, so let's start right there. When you buy the character, you don't get that many cosmetics, only the hairstyle, which I do like a lot, and his outfit from when he was young, which honestly is just kind of a generic ninja outfit. So let's talk about the new weapon, the third Kazekage puppet. This weapon essentially makes you a puppeteer. The puppet isn't out at all times, but every time you press the attack button, you will attack with a puppet, seamlessly summoning it and performing a melee combo. This moveset is really good. The melee combo is solid, more solid than most range type weapons from the melee range actually. I feel like I can combo for a while and pretty reliably. And then the strong attack button is such a good projectile too. It shoots out iron sand in a spread pattern. It's a very quick projectile and it poisons the enemy on hit. So not only did this weapon fulfill many players' fantasies of making their character into a puppeteer, it's also a very good weapon at that. And I love that it opens the door to other puppets in the future. Maybe you don't want to run the third Kazekage, you want to run Kankuro's Karasu. Well, now that they've figured out how to do puppets in Shinobi Striker, maybe they'll add something like that later with a new puppet moveset, who knows? Maybe even a puppet for a different class, because right now this is only for range types. And honestly, this weapon alone would be worth a DLC if you are a range type. Luckily, his jutsu are also cool. But before we get to those, here's a quick word from a long-time sponsor. This video is brought to you by GamerSupps. It's been a while since I've talked about GamerSupps, though it doesn't really feel like it, because I mean, there's always a bottle at my desk and I'm always wearing waifu t-shirts. But if you're new here, this is my all-time favorite drink. 0 carbs, 0 sugars, and 0 calories should not taste this good. And yet it does. I've been working my way through this Jujutsu Kaisen Cursed Energy flavor. It's really good. But since the last time I talked about them, GamerSupps has become so much more than energy drinks. They now have instant noodles. That's my lunch figured out. They've got snacks. I was not expecting these chocolates to be so good. I am fully addicted. And they've been adding more and more drink flavors non-stop. And the best part is that my code will give you a 10% discount on all of these options. Absolutely anything you want, 10% off with code Globku. Thanks, GamerSupps. First jutsu, 1000 Hands. You summon a puppet and freely control it until you deactivate it, or press the button again to do a follow-up attack that deals damage, poisons the enemy, and reduces their healing. Okay, so this is a 2-stage activation jutsu. Stage 1, you just fly. Stage 2, you attack, inflicting damage, poison, and a healing debuff. This feels so awesome, dude. Look at this. It's free flight in Shinobi Striker, straight up. You can go anywhere you want. Or if you lock onto a character, it will just track them, though it's not always the best at dealing with walls. It just tries to go in a straight line. You're inside the puppet this whole time, by the way, which makes you safer than usual. Not invulnerable by any means, but most ninja tools will just bounce off of you. And stun moves like the wood strangle will straight up not work. But if you get hit with a big damaging move like a fireball or a ground pound, then you'll get knocked out of the puppet. When you hit the button again for the follow-up, you actually deal decent damage, and because of the healing debuff, that poison damage is also very reliable, especially after all the nerfs that Cellular Extraction got. Healers aren't running that as often, so they're not cleansing opponents, meaning debuff builds like this are a lot more viable now. The second stage of this jutsu is also unblockable, so it will counter some stuff. Susanoo armor naturally gets deleted, but because of the disjointed hitbox, it can also reach inside a sand shield and knock the enemy away, deleting the shield in the process. So it can also be used as a counter for some stuff. Now, I don't think it's broken or anything. It's not its strength that makes this jutsu cool. It's the fact that it's so unique and works really well. And that's exactly what I love to see in a new DLC. Next up, Iron Sand, which has the longest description of a move ever. That is no joke. This thing is super long for no reason. But once again, it's a 2-stage jutsu that starts with a really long range projectile. You shoot out this big clump of iron sand that travels slowly, but if it hits the opponent, it deals damage, poisons them, and once again reduces their healing received. After it hits, it creates a lump of iron sand that just sits there menacingly until you hit the button again and it explodes in spikes, dealing damage again, poisoning again, and applying the healing debuff again. This jutsu was almost perfect, but I found it was way too easy to dodge, so it ended up just being fine for me. The range is incredible. You definitely don't want to do it up close. The chances of you getting the hit from afar are much greater, but if the jutsu gets blocked or if it collides with an obstacle, you simply don't get the second stage. The iron sand just vanishes, so it feels a bit inconsistent. And since it's not unblockable, if you hit someone with Susanoo armor, you also don't get the follow-up. follow-up. Now, the follow-up is huge, and in an objective game mode, you can use that to control space for sure, plus the spikes are unblockable, and they delete defensive jutsu as well. Again, the first stage doesn't always do that, though in Sandshield's case, they neutralize each other, but if you already have the first stage set up, then yeah, the second stage will beat it completely. Unless you're dealing with something like Needle Jizo, in that case, first or second stage, it doesn't matter. Needle Jizo is the GOAT. Funny thing, by the way, you can actually stand on top of the Iron Sand from that first stage. Enemies are repelled, but you can just chill there if you want. I don't know exactly what you'd use that for, but there's gotta be something, right? Well, while you ponder on that, I'm gonna move on to his ultimate, the performance of 100 puppets. I love how creative both of his jutsu are. Even if the Iron Sand feels inconsistent, it's at least something unique. They are jutsu that bring something new to the game, and by that metric, this ultimate is very underwhelming. You hit the button and the puppets immediately rush the opponent. They're gonna apply poison and the healing debuff once more, but before you know, it's over. Now, the jutsu itself is very hard to dodge. Unless there's an obstacle for you to hide behind, chances are you are not escaping this if they locked onto you. But it takes too long for how good it is. I mean, you'll usually get a kill out of this, but ranged types do have better options. Nothing a balance patch is unable to fix. I mean, I don't know if you've played the game recently, but they thought a C4 is insane right now. And that jutsu wasn't anything special just a season ago. So who can tell how good this will be in the future? Even then, it's a boring ultimate from a design standpoint. You just hit the button and the puppets go. Not the most creative jutsu of the bunch for sure. So with that, I have scored his ultimate a B. I think it's fine, but nothing special. I love the flying puppet, so that gets an S rank for me. And the Iron Sand, love the creativity, but it's too easy to dodge, so I gave it an A. That said, you can't forget about the weapon that can turn any character into a puppeteer. That is, without a doubt, an S rank weapon in my book, making Sasori the third S rank character in the season pass. All three of them are S ranks. This has never happened before. They made an incredible season this time around. And I'm sure some of you are wondering, when am I going to talk about the new map? Well, I can't really say too much about it. I think they removed the new map priority, so I only got one game on it, and it was a game where almost everyone disconnected immediately. I did get to explore it a lot, and my first impression is that it's probably the worst map in the game. Like, this map is way too big for a 4v4 match. That's my main problem with it. Sure, it has caves, and I am a fan of the Final Valley, but practically this map looks very annoying. And those statues, yeah, they kind of make it look like the Final Valley at home. That's it for today. We'll be back to cover the next DLC, whoever it is. They just teased something in the latest trailer, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, if you missed the last DLC, it was this attack type jutsu from Hashirama. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.